There is a truth most people do not want to face. If others do not feel clarity, strength, and certainty in your voice, they will not trust you. They will not follow you, and they will not take action because of your words. You can possess great ideas, deep experience, and real value, but if the way you think and the way you speak does not reflect that, the world will never see your full potential. Most people still believe communication is about sounding smooth or talking confidently, but real influence does not come from performance. It comes from clear thinking. Many fall into the same exhausting loop, speaking before their thoughts are ready, explaining more because they were not clear the first time, and adding even more words because they fear they will be misunderstood. They talk long but do not talk sharp. They talk much but do not move anyone. Leaders operate differently. They think before they speak less but speak better, and choose their words like sharp, intentional, necessary tools. This training is a sharpening of your mind, a refinement of your voice, and a rebuilding of how you show up in the world. Clarity is not a natural talent or an accidental gift, it is a strict personal discipline. If your mind feels like a cluttered desk filled with unrelated notes, distracting thoughts, and emotional noise, your words will inevitably reflect that chaos. When you do not actively organize your internal thoughts, your priority remains hidden and your message becomes a foggy pool of confusion. To build real influence, you must treat clarity as a daily mental practice. A clean mental desk allows your priority to become visible and your delivery to become purposeful. When you commit to this discipline, you remove the unnecessary clutter before you speak, ensuring your thoughts are sharp and structured. A clean mental desk is the architect of a sharp delivery. Many people believe that communication starts the moment their mouth opens, but professionals understand that real communication starts in the silence before the first word. It begins in the private space where you gather your thoughts, shape your intention, and decide what truly matters. This quiet preparation is where you establish your inner clarity long before any sound reaches the air. When you skip this silent preparation, you invite immediate chaos into your speech. Your words will wander because they have no anchor, and your message will feel scattered to the listener. By prioritizing the quiet before the sound, you ensure that your voice carries an intentional weight rather than a frantic rush. The silence before your first word is where your authority is born. Most people speak before they think, and this single, reactive habit silently destroys their professional influence. When your thoughts are scattered, your words naturally become scattered, and your ideas feel half-formed. This unrefined delivery causes your impact to be half-felt by those you are trying to guide. Reacting instantly to questions or comments signals that your mind is ruled by impulse rather than intention. It shows that you are desperate to fill the space because you fear looking unprepared. Breaking this destructive habit is the first step toward reclaiming your personal power and speaking like a leader. The punchline: speaking before thinking is a silent handover of your power. The human mind is constantly bombarded with external and internal chatter, creating a high volume of mental noise. To speak effectively, you must learn to separate this signal, the core value of your message, from the noise of emotional static and trivial details. This sorting process requires you to slow down and give your mind space to settle. When you speak without filtering, you force the listener to do the hard work of organizing your thoughts. They quickly become fatigued and disengaged because your message is crowded with unnecessary details. By using silence to isolate the signal, you ensure that your message arrives with absolute focus. Strip away the extra to let your signal stand tall. Imagine being asked a challenging question during a high-stakes meeting. The natural human reaction is to panic internally and rush to answer. Most people believe that a pause makes them look slow or unprepared, but this fear is a massive illusion. Rushing leads directly to overtalking, over-explaining, and under-delivering. The person who pauses briefly before responding actually gains power rather than losing it. The pause is where clarity lives, and it is where your leadership begins. It gives you the critical moments needed to gather the essence of your thought and release a clean, intentional sentence. The pause is not emptiness, it is emphasis. Before you speak, you must be able to summarize the exact core of what you want to say. This process of gathering the essence requires you to look past your temporary emotions and locate the objective truth of your message. It is the act of compressing your ideas into their most potent form. When you deliver only the essence, your words land like steel on the table. You don't need to wrap your ideas in complex jargon or endless explanations because the truth itself is powerful enough. Gathering the essence ensures that every word you speak has a deliberate job to do. The best communicators are not complicated, they are concise. Think of your ideas like water. When water is actively stirred, it becomes cloudy and difficult to see through. Your thoughts behave in the exact same way when you are under pressure or excited. If you speak while your thoughts are still spinning, your message will be muddy and confusing. But when you let the water settle, it naturally becomes crystal clear. Clarity requires you to embrace a practice that many people fear: slowing down. Slowing down does not mean you are thinking less. It means you are thinking better and giving your mind space to organize. Let your thoughts settle before you let your voice speak. There is a remarkable shift that happens when you speak from a calm, organized mind rather than from a place of pressure. Your voice naturally steadies, your pacing slows to a confident rhythm, and your delivery becomes highly intentional. You are no longer throwing words out in a desperate race against discomfort. When you speak from this quiet center, the entire room responds with respect. People lean in to listen because your presence feels grounded and reliable. Speaking from your center transforms your voice into an anchor for everyone present. Stillness in your mind produces authority in your voice. Many people weaken their message because they are afraid of sounding too direct or being judged. They bury their core ideas under layers of soft language and unnecessary details, hoping to make their message look more acceptable. But the more you soften your words, the more invisible your authority becomes. Directness is not rudeness, directness is clarity, and clarity is a gift. When you speak directly, people know exactly where you stand and how to respond. This clean, honest approach is incredibly magnetic because it removes all the guesswork and static from the conversation. Directness commands respect, vagueness breeds doubt. Inner clarity is not a one-time achievement, it is a permanent habit that must be trained through daily practice. Every time you choose to pause, every time you filter your thoughts, and every time you speak with purpose, you are building this habit. You are retraining your brain to default to stillness under pressure. As you continue to practice this discipline, your presence becomes naturally stronger and your confidence becomes visible. You move through the world with the poise of someone who knows exactly who they are and what they mean. Your words carry weight because they are born from absolute clarity. Clarity is a personal identity and a way of moving with purpose. The fear of silence is a highly common barrier that pushes professionals into weak, rushed communication. Most people feel an intense internal pressure to fill every quiet gap with sound, worrying that a pause makes them look incompetent. This deep-seated anxiety causes them to speak before their thoughts are ready, creating immediate noise. When you rush to fill the silence, you signal to the room that you are uncomfortable with the space you occupy. You are letting your nervous system dictate your pacing, which immediately weakens your authority. To speak like a leader, you must dismantle this illusion and see silence as a source of strength. Your voice functions as a billboard for your nervous system, broadcasting your internal state of mind before you say a single word. When you are rushed or anxious, your pitch naturally rises, your pace accelerates, and your delivery becomes fragile. The listener can feel this tension, causing them to question your credibility. A shaky or rushed voice can make even the most brilliant, data-driven ideas sound weak and ungrounded. It communicates that you are reacting to the pressure of the moment rather than choosing your response with control. By mastering your pacing, you ensure that your physical voice reflects absolute self-command. Many people fall into an exhausting loop where they speak before their thoughts are fully formed, leading to rambling. Because their initial point was weak, they feel the need to explain more, adding even more words in a desperate attempt to be understood. This spiral quickly drains their energy and confuses the audience. The more you talk without a clear direction, the more you weaken the impact of your message. You are essentially asking the room to sit through your unrefined thinking process. Breaking this loop requires you to hold your silence until your core thought is sharp and ready. There is a common misconception that speaking with high intensity, speed, or volume is a sign of confidence. But in reality, intensity without clear thinking creates pressure, not confidence. Loudness without intention is merely noise, and it often signals that the speaker is trying to hide their own insecurity. Real authority is quiet, steady, and entirely self-contained. It does not need to scream, push, or dominate the room to be noticed. When you speak with a calm, centered intensity, your message carries a natural weight that volume can never replicate. When you speed through your presentation or response, you are letting the room know that you are trying to outrun your own discomfort. This rushed delivery communicates that you are reactive, moving at the mercy of external pressures rather than your own intention. It shows that you do not own the timeline of the conversation. Slowing your pace down is an act of supreme self-ownership and control. It signals to the audience that your ideas are valuable enough to be given proper time and space. By controlling your tempo from within, you force the room to adapt to your quiet, steady rhythm. The human brain is an extraordinary tool, but it is not designed to think, filter, refine, and deliver a message simultaneously with precision. When you try to organize your thoughts at the exact same moment you are expressing them, you are bound to stumble. This is the biological reason why people ramble and repeat themselves. To avoid this trap, you must separate the phase of preparation from the phase of delivery. Use the silence of the pause to structure your thought completely before you open your mouth. This clear boundary ensures that when you do speak, your words arrive with absolute order and impact. Every extra word you add to a sentence acts as a form of dilution, watering down the strength of your core message. When you overtalk, you create a wall of verbal noise that makes your presence feel soft and defensive. You look like someone who is begging for validation rather than directing a path. Strong communicators understand that brevity is a form of power. They use clean, bold, decisive language and eliminate the extra padding that weakens their presence. By choosing to say less, you ensure that what you do say is memorable and authoritative. There is a massive difference between speaking slowly and thinking slowly. Slowing down your external delivery is actually what gives your mind the critical space it needs to think better. It allows your cognitive resources to focus on separating the essential signal from the trivial noise. When you give your thoughts room to breathe, your brain can make smarter connections and select more precise language. You are no longer reacting from panic, but choosing your words with strategic intention. Slowing down is the ultimate catalyst for high-impact thinking. Many professionals confuse activity with progress, believing that talking continuously means they are contributing value to the meeting. They use speech to fill space and avoid the discomfort of silence, not realizing that speaking without a point is just noise. This habit wastes both their own energy and the focus of the room. Productivity in communication is measured by impact and movement, not by word count. A single, well-structured sentence that creates clear direction is infinitely more valuable than 30 minutes of scattered rambling. Speak with the intention to guide, not simply to be heard. We live in a world that is highly reactive, where instant responses are often praised over thoughtful ones. But reacting automatically to every trigger, question, or comment keeps you trapped in a cycle of constant stress. It surrenders your internal peace and your focus to the expectations of others. Breaking this loop requires you to make a conscious decision to pause before you react. Use the pause to ground yourself, connect with your breath, and choose a response that aligns with your values. This quiet discipline is the foundation of unshakable professional mastery. The ultimate measure of whether you have achieved true clarity is whether you can express your core idea in one clean, direct sentence. If you cannot do this, your mind has not finished the hard work of thinking in the silence yet. This single sentence test is a ruthless filter that exposes whether your thought is ripe or unrefined. Many people avoid this test because compressing an idea requires real mental discipline and effort. They prefer to hide behind complexity, hoping that a long explanation will make them sound intelligent. But true masters of communication do not hide, they simplify. This single-sentence mastery is the defining boundary that separates real leaders from mere talkers in the professional world. Talkers speak to explore their thoughts out loud, dragging the room through their unrefined mental process. Leaders speak to guide, delivering ideas that have already been structured and polished. When you lead with a clean, single-sentence point, you instantly anchor the room's attention. People know exactly what the conversation is about and where it is headed. This clarity makes others feel safe and eager to follow your direction. Clear thinkers do not waste the room's energy on long build-ups, background stories, or unnecessary details. They use their silence to locate the absolute heart of the idea and strike directly at it from their very first sentence. This directness is incredibly powerful and commands immediate respect. When you strike at the heart, you eliminate the emotional static and guesswork that often clouds a conversation. Your message arrives with absolute precision, leaving no room for doubt or confusion. This direct approach is the hallmark of high-level professional presence. Some believe that powerful communication requires a complex vocabulary filled with big words and sophisticated jargon. In reality, complicated language is often a shield used to hide a lack of clear thinking or confidence. True influence is built on simple, precise, and honest words. When you use simple words, your message becomes accessible and concrete to everyone in the room. You remove the fog of pretension and focus entirely on creating mutual understanding and action. Simplicity is not a lack of intelligence, it is the highest form of professional discipline. Complexity is the enemy of action, and it is usually born from a mind that is trying to impress rather than guide. When you bury your message under layers of detailed explanations, you create immediate confusion and hesitation in your audience. People cannot act on what they do not understand. Leaders understand that structure and simplicity are liberating. They refuse to let their ideas be drowned in unnecessary complexity, keeping their message sharp and actionable. By choosing simplicity, you ensure that your message creates immediate momentum. A structured message must always begin with a clear, undeniable point, not a story or a build-up. When you lead with your point, you instantly anchor your listeners' attention. They know exactly what they should focus on and why the conversation matters. This immediate anchor prevents the listener's mind from wandering or trying to guess your direction. They feel grounded and prepared to take the journey you are about to guide them through. Anchoring your listener is the first step toward moving them to action. Once you have made your clear point, your next step is to provide support, the context, reasoning, or evidence that validates your idea. But the key to strong support is extreme restraint. Too many details and examples will only dilute your message and overwhelm the listener. A strong communicator provides just enough support to illuminate the point, not drown it. They choose only the most relevant, high-impact facts and let the rest fall away in the quiet. Compressing your support ensures that your message remains sharp and memorable. Give them a sharp blade, not a heavy box. Before you open your mouth, you must have an unshakable grip on your specific objective. You must know exactly what you want the audience to think, feel, or do as a result of your words. If your objective is vague, your speech will naturally become scattered. This pre-delivery focus acts like a compass that guides your word choice and delivery style. It stops you from getting pulled into side topics or reacting to temporary distractions in the room. Knowing your destination is what allows you to lead others there. If you don't know where you are going, your words will wander. When you speak from a place of clear, single-sentence focus, your physical delivery changes completely. Your voice steadies, your pacing smooths out, and your tone naturally drops into a range of calm authority. You are no longer rushing because you trust the value of your thought. This physical control communicates a powerful message of self-command long before you finish speaking. It shows the room that you are entirely centered and prepared to lead. Reclaiming control of your voice is the natural result of organizing your mind. Organize the mind, and the voice will follow. Mastery is not built on advanced secrets or flashy performance. It is built on the fundamentals done consistently and with respect. Choosing to think clearly, speak simply, and hold your silence are the basics that turn you into a trusted leader. You must return to these basics every single day. When you treat these fundamentals like gold, your presence becomes an undeniable force of influence. You stop chasing temporary approval and start moving with grounded, intentional purpose. The next powerful version of you is formed in these daily, silent practices. Do the fundamentals until they become your natural state. Leadership in communication is not merely about what you say, but about the invisible architecture behind your words. A message without a clear layout is nothing more than scattered noise, confusing the listener and causing your ideas to fall flat. Most people struggle because they jump directly into a topic without establishing any context, speaking for several minutes before they ever reach their main point. This lack of structure causes their confidence to collapse and forces the audience to tune out. To speak like a leader, your communication must possess a solid spine that is strong enough to stand on its own in any room. When you present structured thoughts, you instantly turn random ideas into a clear direction that others can easily follow. You move from a state of wandering explanation to one of decisive guidance, ensuring that your audience is never left guessing about your purpose. By prioritizing structure over noise, you establish yourself as a competent professional who respects the listener's time. A structured message acts like a physical spine, holding the weight of your ideas and keeping your presentation aligned from beginning to end. It prevents your thoughts from collapsing under pressure, and ensures that each point builds logically on the one before it. When you speak with a spine, your pacing naturally smooths out, and your voice carries a steady, predictable authority. You are no longer reacting to the room, you are actively directing the flow of the conversation. Without this structural support, your message becomes fragile and easily disrupted by interruptions or questions. You find yourself jumping back and forth between details, which only highlights your internal uncertainty. Building a backbone for your words is how you command respect and ensure that your message remains intact, regardless of the chaos of the moment. It is the ultimate foundation of a powerful, unforgettable presence. A structured message functions as a clear roadmap, guiding your audience through your thoughts step by step. It tells them exactly where you are going, why you are going there, and what key milestones they should pay attention to along the way. When you provide this roadmap, you eliminate the mental friction of guesswork, allowing the listener's mind to settle and engage fully with your message. They feel safe and guided because they can see the destination clearly. When you fail to provide a roadmap, your audience is left in the dark, trying to piece together your meaning from a blur of words. This confusion quickly breeds doubt, hesitance, and disengagement. People do not assume that an unstructured message is complex. They simply assume that the speaker is unclear and unprepared. By guiding their journey with a clear path, you build an unshakable bond of trust and professional credibility. One of the most common communication failures is the habit of telling unstructured stories that wander without a point. Speakers often get caught up in trivial details and background explanations, dragging the listener through an exhausting labyrinth of thoughts. By the time they finally reach their conclusion, the audience has already lost interest, and the impact of the message is entirely gone. This unstructured approach suggests a lack of mental discipline and preparation. It forces your audience to do the heavy lifting of sorting through your raw thinking process, which quickly leads to fatigue. To avoid this, you must learn to withhold your speech until you have organized your thoughts completely in the quiet. Your stories should always serve your main point, never distract from it. Many people avoid using a structured format because they fear it will make their speech feel rigid, artificial, or restricted. However, the exact opposite is true. Structure is deeply liberating. When you possess a clear framework, you no longer have to spend valuable mental energy worrying about what to say next or how you will conclude your thoughts. Your mind is freed to focus entirely on the delivery, the tone, and the energy of the room. This liberation allows you to be fully present and responsive to your audience, rather than being trapped in your own head. It gives you the confidence to navigate interruptions and questions with ease, knowing you can easily return to your path. Structure is not a cage that traps your voice. It is the track that allows your ideas to run with maximum speed and impact. A structured message must always begin with an undeniable, crystal clear point, not with a long build-up or a background story. Leading with your point acts like flipping on a light switch, instantly illuminating the room and anchoring the listener's attention. It tells the audience exactly what the conversation is about, making it easy for them to follow the rest of your presentation. When you lead with details instead of your main point, you force your listeners to search for your meaning in the dark. They become anxious and distracted as they try to guess where you are going. By placing your point at the very top of your message, you establish immediate clarity and set the stage for an impactful exchange. Once you have made your clear point, you must provide the support, the context, examples, or evidence that validates your thought. However, the secret to powerful support is extreme restraint. Many speakers dilute their message by piling on too many details and examples, which only overwhelms and fatigues the audience. Your support should be sharp, relevant, and highly focused. Choose only the most compelling facts and allow the rest to fall away in the silence. Restraint in your support shows that you respect the listener's mental capacity and are confident enough in your point to let it stand without unnecessary padding. Between your support and your direction lies a critical tool that most people completely forget: the pause. Holding a deliberate pause after a key point is what allows your words to settle and lock into the minds of your audience. It gives them the necessary time to process the weight and significance of what you just shared. A message delivered without pauses feels rushed, frantic, and desperate. But when you incorporate strategic silence, you add a level of gravity and seriousness to your communication. The pause is what transforms a routine explanation into a moment of deep, lasting impact. Every structured message must conclude with a clear, actionable direction. Direction is leadership in its purest form, transforming intellectual understanding into real, physical momentum. It tells your audience exactly what the next step is, preventing your ideas from simply floating away and being forgotten. Providing direction is not pushy, it is highly responsible and clear. People crave guidance and are eager to follow those who present a clear path forward with confidence. By closing your message with a decisive next step, you turn a simple conversation into meaningful progress. Mastering the structure of point, support, pause, and direction is how you embody true leadership in every interaction. It shows the room that you do not speak to fill space, but to create movement and impact. This disciplined approach to communication quickly builds a reputation of authority and trust. When you commit to this standard, you change the way people respond to your voice. They no longer tune out or hesitate. They listen with intent and follow your lead with certainty. Your structured message becomes the catalyst for action, respect, and lasting professional influence. A massive trap for many communicators is confusing agreement with real commitment. You can deliver an idea that makes the entire room nod, yet witness absolutely no change in behavior or action afterward. Agreement is passive and costs the listener nothing. Commitment is active and requires real effort and movement. If your words do not change what someone thinks, feels, or does, your message has failed to complete its true purpose. Real influence is measured not by how many people agree with you, but by how many people take action because of your voice. To be an influencer, you must stop speaking for agreement and start speaking for action. There is a profound difference between a basic communicator and a true influencer. A communicator is focused on sharing information and explaining concepts, often leaving the audience with a heavy load of facts but no direction. An influencer, however, is focused on activation and momentum. An influencer does not just dump data on the room, they use clarity to trigger movement. They translate complex ideas into clear steps, making it easy for the listener to step out of hesitation and into action. The communicator seeks to inform, the influencer seeks to transform. Action is the true heartbeat of all influence. Ideas are completely powerless until they are turned into movement and execution. Many brilliant strategies fail not because they are weak, but because the speaker did not know how to inspire the room to take the very first step. When you speak with the intention to create action, your entire delivery style tightens. Your tone becomes sharper, your sentences become shorter, and your message becomes laser-focused. You are no longer talking to fill space, you are speaking to create immediate, physical progress. To move people, you must first know exactly what you want them to do. vague requests like, "Think about this," or "Let's consider our options," breed hesitation and confusion, which kills all potential momentum. People cannot act on what they do not clearly understand. Your next step must be specific, concrete, and doable. When you present a clear path, you remove the mental burden of decision-making from your audience, making it easy for them to follow. The clearer your target action, the faster people will move toward it. Most people hesitate to take action because the goal or task feels too massive and overwhelming. The secret of structured leadership is the art of shrinking the first step until it feels incredibly simple and possible. When you shrink the step, you eliminate the mental resistance that keeps people frozen. Instead of demanding a massive, long-term commitment, focus on the immediate, small action that can be taken today. Once that initial movement begins, momentum will naturally accelerate on its own. Your job is simply to remove the friction of the starting line. Friction is anything that makes it difficult, confusing, or stressful for your audience to take action. It could be a complicated process, a lack of resources, or a fear of making the wrong choice. A powerful leader acts as the force that clears these obstacles away. By providing absolute clarity, simplified steps, and emotional safety, you make action the easiest path for the listener. You become the voice that guides them through uncertainty, allowing them to move forward with complete confidence. Removing friction is how you turn hesitation into rapid progress. People act when they feel a sense of urgency, but they freeze when they feel a sense of stress. Stress is born from pressure, fear, and chaos, which paralyzes the mind and blocks decision-making. Urgency, however, is born from clarity, timing, and a deep understanding of why the action matters right now. To create healthy urgency, you must explain the value of the moment and the immediate next step. Use a steady, decisive tone to convey importance without creating panic. When the room feels the energy of your conviction, they will naturally wake up and move with purpose. People are often afraid to move alone or take responsibility for a new direction. When you speak with absolute certainty, you essentially lend your audience your own courage, giving them the permission they need to act. Your confidence serves as a safe bridge over their doubts. When your voice is steady and your direction is clear, the room feels secure following your lead. You are no longer asking them to take a blind risk, you are guiding them with authority and conviction. Certainty is the ultimate tool of persuasion. When a leader's message is vague and confusing, it creates immediate anxiety and hesitation in the audience. But when you speak with absolute clarity, you provide a deep sense of emotional safety. The listener knows exactly where they stand and what is expected of them. This safety is the foundation of trust, and trust is what allows people to take bold action. By protecting your audience from the stress of guesswork, you create an environment where cooperation and progress can flourish. Clarity is not just a skill, it is a form of protection. Never end a message with a soft, weak phrase like, "So yeah, that's basically it." A weak closing completely kills the momentum you have built and leaves the audience hanging in uncertainty. Your final sentence must be a decisive call to action. Use bold, clear phrases like, "This is what we do next," or "The next step begins now," to signal authority and direction. This crisp closing leaves no room for hesitation, ensuring that your words translate directly into physical movement. Let your final line hit like a weight on the table. Your voice carries two messages simultaneously: the literal words you speak, and the raw emotion wrapped inside them. Your emotional tone is your true personal signature, revealing your internal state of mind long before the listener can analyze your logic. It is the truth behind the words, exposing whether you are centered or overwhelmed, confident or insecure. People do not only hear your sentences, they actively feel your state of mind. If your tone is shaky, defensive, or rushed, your message loses its authority immediately, regardless of how accurate your data may be. Mastering your emotional tone is a non-negotiable skill for anyone who desires to lead. You can memorize the perfect script and say all the right things, but if your tone is misaligned, your communication will fail. A defensive tone turns a helpful correction into a personal attack, while a rushed tone makes an important strategy sound sloppy and fragile. Your tone is what determines how your message is received. Tone shapes perception long before logic has a chance to speak. When there is a conflict between your words and your tone, the audience will always trust your tone. By ensuring your voice reflects absolute calm and control, you make your message credible and compelling. Emotional tone serves as the critical bridge between your internal intention and your external impact on the listener. If that bridge is shaky and uncontrolled, your message will inevitably collapse into misunderstanding and defensiveness. But when your bridge is solid and intentional, your message carries immense weight. Mastering this bridge requires you to take complete ownership of your delivery. You must ensure that your voice is a true reflection of your professional goals, not a victim of your temporary frustrations. A controlled tone is what allows your ideas to land with maximum precision. Your voice functions as an open billboard for your nervous system, broadcasting your physical and emotional state to everyone in the room. When you are stressed, anxious, or defensive, your vocal cords tighten, your pitch rises, and your delivery becomes fragmented. This physical reaction is nearly impossible to fake or hide. To master your tone, you must first learn how to ground and calm your internal biology. When you take deep, controlled breaths and soothe your nervous system, your voice naturally reflects that peace. You speak from a place of biological steadiness, which instantly commands respect. Human beings are highly sensitive to the emotional energy of others, and tension in a room can spread like a wildfire. A reactive speaker will match that frantic energy, raising their volume and speed, which only adds to the chaos. But a grounded speaker uses their tone to stabilize the room. By keeping your voice low, steady, and calm, you act as an anchor that absorbs the surrounding stress. Your composure signals that the situation is completely manageable, causing others to instinctively quiet their own minds and trust your guidance. Your tone is your greatest source of leverage in a crisis. Mastering your emotional tone does not mean becoming a cold, robotic, or unfeeling communicator. Emotion is a highly powerful and magnetic force when it is directed with strategy and purpose. The goal is not to eliminate your feelings, but to control them so they do not hijack your message. You must develop the self-awareness to notice the exact moment your internal state begins to shift under pressure. When you feel anger, fear, or frustration rising, you must actively ground yourself before you speak. This discipline is what separates the mature leader from the amateur. Your external sound is a direct product of your internal biology, specifically your breathing, your physical tension, and your pacing. If your chest is tight and your breathing is shallow, your voice will naturally sound thin, shaky, and anxious. Chaotic thoughts will always produce a chaotic sound. To build a voice that carries authority, you must practice physical relaxation and deep, diaphragmatic breathing. By slowing your pace and releasing the tension in your body, you allow your voice to drop into its natural, resonant register. Stability in sound begins with physical composure. Awareness is the absolute key to emotional control, because you cannot manage a reaction that you do not actively notice. The moment you feel yourself becoming rattled, you must pause and assess your internal state. Notice if your throat is tightening, if your heart is racing, or if your pacing is becoming frantic. Once you have identified the shift, you can take deliberate action to ground yourself. Take a deep breath, slow your tempo, and refocus entirely on your core intention. This simple act of self-correction is what keeps your tone steady and your presence unbreakable under pressure. Speed in communication almost always communicates anxiety, while stability and deliberate pacing communicate authority. When you speak slowly and allow your sentences to breathe, you signal that you are entirely comfortable with the space you take up. You do not fear silence or interruption. A steady, measured tone makes even the most difficult message easier for the audience to receive. It creates a safe auditory environment where the listener does not feel rushed or overwhelmed. By mastering your pacing, you build an unshakable foundation of professional credibility. One of the highest levels of communication mastery is the ability to separate your immediate feelings from your professional delivery. You can feel incredibly frustrated, pressured, or challenged internally, yet still choose to speak with absolute clarity, precision, and calm. Your feelings are temporary, but your reputation is permanent. This emotional separation prevents you from leaking defensiveness or hostility into your voice. It allows you to protect the integrity of your message, ensuring that you always speak from your centered mind rather than your reactive impulses. Your voice becomes a consistent tool of leadership. Trust is the ultimate currency of all professional influence. Without it, your words mean absolutely nothing. You can possess great intelligence, deep experience, and unmatched charisma, but if the room does not trust you, they will never follow your lead or take action. Trust is the foundation on which every powerful message must stand. This essential bond is built or broken through two simple standards: precision in your language and honesty in your intentions. When your words are consistently grounded in reality, you create a sense of safety and predictability that people naturally lean toward. Trust is not given, it is earned through daily discipline. Many professionals believe that earning trust requires them to perform, look flawless, and have all the answers at all times. This pursuit of perfection is a massive trap that actually pushes people away, as human beings instinctively distrust a polished performance. People do not want fluff or performance, they want truth and reality. To build deep credibility, you must focus on sounding real rather than sounding perfect. Speak with a transparent, grounded voice that reflects your true character and values. When you drop the mask of pretension and show your authentic self, your audience immediately relaxes and trusts your message. Precision in your language is a profound sign of respect for your audience's time and intelligence. It means choosing your words with deliberate care, eliminating vague statements, and delivering meaning with absolute accuracy. Precision tells the listener that you know exactly what you are talking about and can be relied upon. When your language is loose, sloppy, or exaggerated, you create immediate distance and suspicion in the room. Vague communication forces your audience to guess your meaning, which breeds doubt and hesitation. By speaking with crisp specificity, you remove the fog and make your ideas solid and actionable. Honesty in communication is not about blunt aggression or hurting others. It is about absolute, transparent intention. It means being clear about what you know, what you don't know, and where you stand. Honesty creates emotional safety because it assures the listener that there is no hidden agenda. When you speak with transparent integrity, people do not feel pressured, manipulated, or sold to. They feel respected and safe, which naturally opens their minds to your direction and vision. Honesty is the fastest and most reliable way to build a lasting professional reputation. One of the most trustworthy and powerful phrases in any language is the simple statement, "I don't know." Many fear that admitting ignorance will make them look weak or incompetent, so they resort to guessing, pretending, or hiding behind complex jargon. This defensive behavior is highly transparent and immediately destroys credibility. When you have the courage to say, "I don't know," you instantly signal to the room that you are an honest person who values truth over ego. This admission builds an unshakable trust, ensuring that when you do speak with certainty, the room believes you without hesitation. Honesty is what makes your knowledge valuable. Exaggerating your claims, inflating your results, or making promises you cannot guarantee are the fastest ways to destroy professional trust. People can sense exaggeration almost instantly, and the moment they detect a single lie, they begin to question everything else you say. The bond of trust is incredibly fragile. Once that bond cracks, it is nearly impossible to repair. To guard your influence, you must practice extreme discipline, saying only what you can stand behind with absolute certainty. Avoid the temptation to overpromise, and let the quiet weight of your results speak for themselves. Vagueness is the shield of the unprepared, while specificity is the weapon of the master. Vague statements feel slippery and suspicious, leaving the listener with a feeling of uncertainty and doubt. But specific, data-driven language feels solid, clear, and highly reliable. When you speak with specificity, you paint a concrete picture in the listener's mind, leaving no room for guesswork or misinterpretation. You define the timeline, the expectations, and the metrics with absolute precision. Specificity is what transforms a weak suggestion into an authoritative directive. In high-stakes environments, it is easy to default to a professional performance, using a forced tone and rigid posture to look capable. However, this artificial performance creates an immediate barrier between you and your audience. People do not connect with a perfect presentation, they connect with true humanity. True influence flows from a place of grounded, honest interaction. When you speak with sincerity, your voice carries a natural warmth and credibility that a performance can never match. Trust your own value, drop the act, and let your genuine presence command the room. Trust is not a one-time gesture or an accidental occurrence. It is a consistent pattern of behavior that is built over time. People learn to rely on you based on how you show up day after day, in both small and large moments. If you are precise today but sloppy tomorrow, your credibility will slowly deteriorate. Consistency in your language, your honesty, and your delivery is what cements your professional influence. When the room knows that your word is always solid and your intention is always clear, they will follow your lead without hesitation. Trust is the ultimate reward for relentless discipline. When you speak with precision and honesty, you create a deep, unshakable sense of safety for everyone in the room. Safety is the ultimate gateway to action, because people will only take risks and follow a new direction when they feel secure in their leader. Your integrity is what removes their fear of the unknown. By prioritizing trust above all else, you build a powerful, loyal presence that extends far beyond individual conversations. You become the anchor that others look to in times of chaos, guiding their actions with a voice they can completely rely upon. Trust is the foundation of all lasting change. Silence is one of the most powerful tools in communication, yet it is often the one that people fear the most. Most people move through their professional lives in a state of constant auditory panic, rushing to fill every quiet gap, explaining their ideas repeatedly, and drowning their message in a sea of useless verbal noise. They treat a brief pause as an emergency, assuming that any lack of sound signals unpreparedness, hesitation, or weakness. This frantic rush to fill the void actually betrays their deep-seated anxiety and weakens their presence. The truth is that silence is not a void, it is a manifestation of supreme self-command and quiet strength. When you are comfortable with silence, you signal to the entire room that you are entirely grounded and do not require constant validation or the comfort of your own voice. It is the space where your words gain weight, where your ideas sink deeper, and where your presence becomes undeniable. By choosing when to speak and when to remain still, you shift from a reactive participant to an authoritative leader who commands attention. In any meeting, negotiation, or professional interaction, the person who controls the silence controls the room. Most individuals believe that dominating a conversation requires talking continuously, but this relentless output only dilutes their influence. When you speak without pauses, your ideas run together into a blur, making it incredibly easy for the audience to tune you out. But when you have the courage to hold a pause, the sudden shift in the auditory environment forces everyone present to refocus their attention on you. Silence reveals confidence because only emotionally steady and grounded people can hold it without fear. When you refuse to rush your delivery, you show that you own the timeline of the conversation. This composure creates a psychological boundary that others must adapt to, shifting the dynamic of the room to your quiet pace. By mastering the quiet, you establish yourself as the natural anchor of the room, earning respect without needing to raise your volume. Silence is not the absence of communication, it is the ultimate physical amplifier of your words. Think of your speech as a piece of art. Silence is the frame that sets the painting apart from the wall. Without pauses, your message lacks structure, and the listener's brain is given no time to process the significance of your thoughts. A strategic pause before an important sentence heightens anticipation, forcing the audience to lean in and listen closely. Similarly, holding a deliberate pause after a critical statement allows the gravity of your thought to sink deep into the listener's mind. It acts as an emotional punctuation mark, signaling that what you just said is too valuable to be rushed over or immediately justified. By allowing your key ideas to breathe in the quiet, you ensure they carry a weight that remains in the room long after you finish speaking. Your silence is what transforms a simple sentence into an unforgettable truth. We live in a world characterized by constant, exhausting chatter, where digital noise, emotional static, and endless opinions crowd our minds daily. Because people are so accustomed to hearing individuals talk endlessly to validate their own importance, they naturally tune out routine speech. Controlled silence is a rare and powerful pattern interrupt that immediately cuts through this background noise. It forces the listener to wake up, pay attention, and focus entirely on your physical presence. By introducing deliberate pauses into your delivery, you make your communication feel refreshing, intentional, and highly authoritative. You stand out from the crowd of frantic talkers who are desperate for attention. Your willingness to speak with space tells the audience that your ideas are selected with precision and are worth waiting for. Breaking the pattern of noise is how you turn a routine presentation into an unforgettable moment of influence. Silence is not just a speaking tool, it is an invaluable internal thinking tool. When you are asked a difficult question or faced with a challenging situation, your biological instinct is to respond immediately to protect your ego. However, rushing into a response often leads to rambling, repeating yourself, and delivering half-formed thoughts that weaken your credibility. Using silence as a thinking tool allows you to pause, connect with your breath, and organize your mind before you speak. This pause protects you from reacting impulsively, allowing your logical mind to separate the essential signal from the emotional noise. It gives you the necessary time to choose the right words instead of the fastest words. Fast words are almost always driven by fear, insecurity, and the desire to escape discomfort, while chosen words are born from clarity, intention, and composure. By mastering the pause, you ensure that your voice is a reflection of internal strength rather than external pressure. There is a massive, defining difference between those who speak with fast words and those who deliver chosen words. Fast words are reactive, rushed, and unrefined, revealing a mind that is currently ruled by the panic of the moment. When you speak too quickly, you communicate to the room that you do not trust the value of your own thoughts and want to finish before you are interrupted. This rushed energy makes your presence feel fragile and your ideas look unstable. Chosen words, however, are delivered with space, precision, and absolute certainty. They are the product of a mind that has taken the time to filter out the noise and locate the exact core of the message in the silence. When you speak with chosen words, you do not need to over-explain or defend your ideas. Your sentences land like steel on the table because they are sharp, necessary, and completely true. If you want your most critical points to be remembered, you must learn to create anticipation and impact through strategic pausing. A pause placed right before a key message acts like a physical spotlight, sharpening the audience's attention and preparing their minds for value. It creates a powerful moment of tension where the listener leans in, eager to hear the words that will resolve the silence. Once you have delivered that key line, you must hold another pause to let the impact settle. If you immediately rush into your next sentence, you step on your own message, preventing the listener from truly absorbing its gravity. Allowing your ideas to sit in the quiet is what locks them into the memories of your audience. Anticipation and impact are only possible when you let silence do the work of emphasizing your message. When asked a tough or unexpected question in a meeting, the amateur panics and starts talking immediately, hoping that speed will hide their uncertainty. But speed actually exposes uncertainty and betrays internal anxiety to everyone in the room. It leads to defensive rambling and weakens your professional authority. The professional, however, meets a difficult question with an intentional, steady silence. Holding a calm pause under pressure communicates that you are not rattled, that you are in control, and that you value the truth enough to think before you speak. It tells the room that your mind is not ruled by panic, but by deliberate, strategic focus. This composed boundary immediately commands respect, forcing the audience to wait for your answer with anticipation. When you finally do speak, your response carries the undeniable weight of a prepared mind. In moments of professional tension, conflict, or high stress, silence is your single most powerful weapon for emotional control and de-escalation. When someone approaches you with high energy, anger, or provocation, their goal is to pull you into their chaotic frequency. If you react with defensiveness or match their volume, you feed their drama and surrender your personal power. But when you respond to their intensity with absolute, calm quietness, you shift the balance of power completely. Your silence forces them to feel the weight of their own volume, making their emotional outbursts look highly unprofessional in comparison. By staying still, you signal that you refuse to enter their chaos or let your state of mind be manipulated by their behavior. You maintain your composure, establish yourself as the emotional anchor, and force them to adjust to your steady pace. Silence is the shield that keeps your dignity intact during any storm. There is a profound strategic dimension to silence that experienced leaders, negotiators, and therapists use to uncover the truth. Most people are so deeply uncomfortable with quiet spaces that they will do almost anything to escape the pressure of the void. When you ask a question or state your position, and then hold a deliberate silence, you create a psychological vacuum. The other party, desperate to fill the gap, will often begin to over-explain, correct their own mistakes, or reveal their true intentions without you needing to say a single word. By keeping your cards hidden, you gather critical information while maintaining complete control over your own leverage. You learn more by listening and observing the room than you ever will by talking over others. Silence allows you to observe their body language, read their underlying stress, and plan your next move with absolute clarity. It is the ultimate tool of quiet diplomacy and professional strategy. True professional influence is not just about what you say. It is about whether you say it at the right moment, in the right way, to the right energy. You can deliver a perfectly structured, brilliant sentence, but if the room is not prepared to receive it, your message will fall flat and be completely forgotten. Timing is the invisible lever that can either elevate your words to greatness or destroy their impact entirely. To be an unforgettable communicator, you must develop the sensitivity to read the room before you ever open your mouth. Many people fail because they are so focused on their own agenda and their pre-recorded script that they ignore the emotional climate of their audience. They push their message forward regardless of whether the room is tense, bored, skeptical, or impatient. Leadership requires responsiveness to reality, not a blind attachment to a routine plan. By learning to align your words with the timing of the room, you ensure your message hits with maximum force. One of the biggest mistakes in professional communication is walking into a room with a rigid, unchangeable mental script and refusing to adjust it. This approach creates an immediate disconnect, as the audience can feel that you are speaking at them rather than with them. When you cling desperately to your planned slides or rehearsed sentences, you reveal that you are guided by your own comfort rather than the needs of your listeners. True mastery means having the confidence to throw away the script when the moment demands a different approach. You must treat your preparation as a solid foundation, but remain completely flexible in your execution. When you respond to the actual energy in front of you, your delivery becomes natural, dynamic, and highly persuasive. Dropping the script is how you step out of performance and into genuine leadership. People communicate their true feelings with their bodies long before they ever express them with their voices. If you want to understand the room, you must train yourself to pay attention to these silent cues before you participate in the conversation. Watch where people choose to sit, observe how they breathe, and notice whether their posture is open or closed. Their eyes, their silence, and their physical movements will reveal more truth than any spoken sentence. This non-verbal awareness is not mind reading, it is simply emotional intelligence put into active practice. When you walk into a meeting, take a moment to look around and absorb the atmosphere. By tuning into these physical signals, you can immediately assess the room's emotional temperature and adjust your strategy accordingly. Reading the room is the foundation of every highly effective and empathetic leader. A basic communicator focuses on routine. A true leader focuses on responsiveness. When you are responsive, you do not force your way through a presentation when you can see that your audience is disengaged, confused, or resistant. Instead, you actively use your self-awareness to pause, address their discomfort, and pivot your delivery to meet them where they are. This responsiveness signals a deep respect for your audience's time and intelligence, which instantly builds trust and credibility. It shows that you are not there to perform, but to create real value, clarity, and alignment. By prioritizing their understanding over your routine, you transform a flat lecture into a collaborative journey. Responsive leadership is how you turn a resistant room into a supportive audience. The room is constantly showing you exactly what it needs, provided you have the discipline to pay attention. When you feel the audience losing focus, it is a clear clue that your message needs a sudden shift. It must become slower, sharper, or more direct. If you feel the room tense up, it means the topic needs grounding and reassurance before you add more intensity. If you sense that they are excited, you must ride that momentum and amplify your conviction. If they are uncertain, you must slow down your pace, simplify your vocabulary, and provide absolute clarity. By responding immediately to these energetic clues, you keep your audience fully engaged and prevent them from tuning out. Your adaptability is what keeps your communication fresh and impactful. Think of high-level communication like surfing. You do not control the wave. You learn to ride the energy that already exists. If you try to push against the wave of a room's resistance with sheer force, you will inevitably crash and lose your influence. But when you move with the wave, acknowledging their skepticism or impatience, you glide smoothly toward your goal. Pushing your agenda onto a hostile or tired room only breeds further resentment and defensiveness. But when you speak with awareness, you soften their guard and invite them to align with your quiet confidence. Mastery is knowing how to redirect the existing energy of the room to serve your ultimate purpose. Adapting your delivery to fit the room is not a sign of weakness or compromise. It is an act of supreme communication mastery and respect. When you meet people where they are, you show that you value their perspective and are actively listening to their needs. This respect naturally causes them to open their minds, drop their defenses, and listen to what you have to say. People do not reject your message because it is wrong, they reject it because they do not feel understood by you. By reading the room and adapting your tone, volume, or pacing, you bridge the gap of resistance. You build an emotional alignment where real, lasting influence can finally take root. In any meeting or presentation, there will always be critical moments where the energy of the room suddenly shifts. The tension might rise, the attention might drop, or the audience might become divided over a point. Most people completely ignore these shifts, continuing to plow through their planned slides as if nothing has changed. This lack of sensitivity quickly destroys their credibility. A powerful communicator detects these subtle changes instantly and adjusts their strategy in real time. If the room becomes restless, they tighten their message and move quickly to the next step. If the room becomes emotional, they soften their tone and focus on creating safety. By staying highly sensitive to these shifts, you remain the master of the room's direction. The greatest communicators are not always the ones who speak the best, they are the ones who listen the deepest. This level of listening goes far beyond simply hearing the words being spoken. It involves listening to the energy, the emotions, and the dynamics of the room. It is the ability to hear the hesitation behind a colleague's agreement, or the skepticism inside their silence. This deep listening is what allows you to respond to the real issues in the room rather than the superficial ones. It gives you the insight to address hidden doubts, diffuse unstated conflicts, and build genuine alignment. By listening beyond words, you ensure that your eventual speech is always relevant, precise, and highly authoritative. When you read the room well and adapt with purpose, you achieve a state of emotional alignment where your influence becomes effortless. The audience no longer feels like they are being pitched to or forced in a direction. Instead, they feel as if you are speaking directly to their deepest concerns and aspirations. They feel safe, understood, and entirely aligned with your presence. This alignment is where real, lasting progress is born. It removes the friction of hesitation and doubt, making your audience eager to follow your guidance and take action. By choosing alignment over force, you establish yourself as a trusted leader whose voice is welcomed in any room. Mastery in professional communication and leadership is not built on advanced secrets, complex techniques, or flashy performance tricks. It is built on the fundamentals, the simple, foundational basics practiced consistently, deliberately, and with extreme respect. Great communicators do not spend their time chasing new shortcuts. Instead, they sharpen the essentials until they become part of their very identity. These fundamentals are simple: clear thinking, strong words, a calm tone, an intentional structure, emotional control, and awareness of the room. None of these skills are flashy on their own, and they rarely impress people in isolation. But when they are combined and repeated consistently over time, they turn you into an undeniable presence that people trust immediately. There is a painful truth that every aspiring professional must eventually face. You do not rise to the level of your potential, you rise to the level of your discipline. You can possess brilliant intelligence, unmatched talent, and massive ambitions, but without the discipline to master the basics, your potential remains completely wasted. Consistency is the only bridge that connects your talent to real-world impact. Many people fail because they abandon the fundamentals too quickly, searching for variety because the basics feel boring or routine. But the master understands that repetition is the architect of skill, and that true growth happens in the quiet, daily practices that others ignore. By choosing discipline over comfort, you build a foundation of competence that cannot be shaken by any crisis. Consistency is the absolute foundation of all professional influence and credibility. Influence is not created in a single, dramatic presentation or a highly energetic meeting. It is built over time through thousands of small, reliable daily repetitions of the basics. When you show up with the same clarity, calmness, and authority day after day, people learn to trust your voice. This reliability is what separates the true leader from the reactive amateur. If you are precise today but sloppy tomorrow, your authority deteriorates, and your audience begins to question your stability. By committing to the daily practice of the fundamentals, you ensure that your presence remains steady and trusted in every situation. Think about the greatest athletes, performers, and leaders in the world. They do not practice the hardest, most complex moves every day. Instead, they return to the basic fundamentals again and again, practicing them until they become completely effortless and automatic. They understand that the basics are what win high-stakes games and build lasting careers. Communication requires the exact same professional approach. Your clarity becomes sharper when you practice it daily. Your tone becomes steadier when you train your breath regularly. Your structure becomes natural when you use it consistently. By treating the basics with respect, you build a level of professional skill that feels natural to the observer. The modern world is obsessed with variety and novelty, pushing people to constantly seek new techniques and quick answers. But real professional growth does not come from variety, it comes from depth. Depth requires an unshakable commitment to the same foundational skills over and over, refining them until they are deeply integrated into your nervous system. When you focus on depth, you stop looking for shortcuts and start embracing the work of refinement. You realize that every repetition of a basic skill, whether it is a structured message or a calm pause, uncovers a new layer of control. Depth is what gives your communication its substance, ensuring that your voice carries weight when you speak. Repetition of the fundamentals builds a very specific type of confidence, not the loud, arrogant type that needs to dominate, but the quiet, steady type that others feel the moment you enter the room. This quiet confidence is born from the internal certainty that you have practiced the basics enough times to handle any situation. It says, without needing to say it, that you know exactly who you are and what you mean. When you speak from this place of quiet certainty, you no longer feel the need to rush, over-explain, or force your way through a conversation. Your presence becomes steady, stable, and highly reassuring to those around you. Quiet confidence is the ultimate reward for those who have dedicated themselves to mastering the fundamentals. One of the greatest benefits of repeating the fundamentals is that it consistently reveals your blind spots. Every time you return to a basic skill with conscious awareness, you uncover a new layer of refinement. You hear a small crack in your emotional tone, catch a filler word you did not notice before, or discover a moment where your clarity slipped under pressure. These discoveries are not failures, they are opportunities for growth. Repetition keeps you humble, alert, and continuously improving, ensuring that your skills never become stagnant. By actively looking for these areas of refinement, you elevate your communication from good to truly exceptional. True transformation does not require hours of complex training, it requires small, consistent daily steps repeated over weeks, months, and years. Even dedicating just 1 minute a day to practicing your breath, structuring your thoughts, or holding a pause can completely reshape your presence over time. These small shifts accumulate gradually, building an unshakable momentum. Consistency will always outperform occasional intensity. When you commit to the daily discipline of the quiet, you ensure that your professional growth remains sustainable and permanent. The powerful version of yourself is built in these small, quiet practices. In high-pressure situations, crisis moments, or difficult negotiations, the environment around you can quickly become chaotic and overwhelming. If your mind lacks a foundation, you will naturally get swept away by the stress of the room, reacting impulsively and losing your authority. But when you possess mastered fundamentals, you have an unshakable anchor to return to. No matter how chaotic the room becomes, your basics will hold you in place. You do not need to worry about what to do. Your breath, your tone, and your structured delivery are already built into your system. You return to the fundamentals, steady your nervous system, and direct the conversation with calm authority. When the fundamentals of communication become automatic, they stop being skills you use and start being a reflection of who you are. You no longer have to think about being clear, calm, or precise. These traits flow out of you effortlessly because they are built into your system. You have fully transitioned from performance to presence, embodying the identity of a master. This master identity is what reshapes not just your communication, but your entire career and lifestyle. By changing the way you think and speak, you change the way you live, commanding respect and directing progress in every room you enter. You move forward with the unshakable certainty of someone who has earned their voice through discipline. Every journey of transformation reaches a moment where the lessons settle, the clarity sharpens, and the message lands in a deeper place inside you. You have walked through the physical, emotional, and strategic dimensions of strategic silence, active listening, and clear thinking. You now possess the tools to command attention, build trust, and move others to action. But remember, your voice is a profound responsibility. People do not just hear your words. They actively feel the intention, the clarity, and the steadiness behind them. When you speak with clarity, you give others clarity. When you speak with honesty, you give them safety. And when you speak with calm authority, you give them direction. From this moment forward, choose your words with purpose, protect your attention like currency, and let your presence speak for itself.